Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the human training your dog is begging you for. If you need help understanding your dog and their behaviors, then you have come to the right place. We're Charles and Laura, founders of Canine Culture Dog Training in Dallas, Texas. And as always, with us as part of the other leadership ownership team, our senior trainer and head of dog evaluations, Wyatt.
Hello.
And lead trainer, Julie.
Hey there.
So from training to behavioral or emotional issues to maybe just the health and happiness of your dog, our intent is to help you understand your dog better, learn more about managing and training behaviors that you'd like to see more of, and hopefully learn how to replace some of those behaviors you'd like to see less of. We hope this helps you and your dog improve your relationship together and help you have a dog that is a joy to live with. So on today's episode, guys, we're going to be talking about slumber party or pickup. What the heck does that mean? It's the first of a couple series on types of dog training. So this one, board and train versus day and train. Board and train, as everybody knows, or if you don't know, that means you're dropping your dog off and they're going to live at that training facility until they go home. And some facilities,
just like the traditional way.
Yeah, that's more traditional. Versus a day and train. A day and train, you drop your dog off typically in the morning and you pick your dog up at the end of the day. And even that one has some variations, and we'll be talking about different variations to the board and train model as well as the day and train model, and then how we tweak each of our models to kind of achieve what we think is the best result for you, the owner, and your dog. So we obviously have our favorite program, and our favorite program. Who wants to say what that?
Board and train.
Board and train. Is that a unanimous favorite?
Yes.
Without a doubt, unanimous.
Yes.
We used to do a lot of day and trains when we first opened up, and gradually it just started little by little, as we all know, get replaced by more and more board and trains and less day and trains. And we still do day and training programs, but I don't know why
We do like 2 a month.
2 a month.
Around there, maybe 3. Yeah, 2-3 a month.
Yeah, it's just not that common. And I think when we talk about this for you that are listening, you'll probably see why that transition has occurred from our standpoint, but especially from the owner's standpoint. So, Laura, what's your favorite aspect of what do you think makes the board and train stronger over a day and train?
The board and train the dogs under a trainer the whole week. We kind of have the standards here, so we know what the dog's learning. We know how the trainer's training. And also, some dogs need a reset at home. They've been doing whatever the behavior is for the last 2-3 years, say. And here they have to reset from day one, first time out, they are under training. So they're not allowed to say pull. They're not allowed to do the behavior at home like jumping. We are always in the process of training them. At home, it's a sometimes maybe. Here it's an always. You're always never allowed to jump. Or when I ask you to sit, you need to always sit. Even if we have to help, even if we have to do whatever we're doing, it's an always, not a sometimes.
Right. The consistency.
Yeah.
We're more consistent than them.
And clarity for the dog is a lot more.
What do you think another big difference is, Julie?
I think the biggest pro for board and train is if you have a dog that is aggressive or anxious, you actually give the trainer the opportunity to earn a relationship with that dog.
A deeper dive.
Absolutely. In comparison to the day and train, if they're only there for, I don't know, like 6 or 7 hours out of the day, the dog is going to know at some point they're going to go home.
Yep.
Not necessarily know, because they don't know like that. But I think that putting in a break like that, where they keep going back to the owner, going back home for 7 days and then coming back to us, it really just makes the process longer. So with a board and train, it allows us to really kind of establish those rules, like you said, create consistency, clarity, make them see that, hey, the only way you're gonna get through the day is by being my friend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like by being cool with me and by listening to me and just going with the flow.
Working together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Board and train. Some trainers call it an immersion training program, and that's really what it is. The dog is immersed in training for a period of time. Kind of like, well, bad analogy, but closest one I can think of off the top of my head would be basic training in the military.
Yeah.
You're immersed in that training. You don't go home each night and
mommy cook you a home meal
and
and a
take
nice
a
little
break.
bed.
But in fact, some trainers do call their board and trains boot camp. We do not. I went through boot camp. Julie and Wyatt went through boot
It's
camp.
not a pleasant
I
experience.
hope to God our dog never thinks training is boot camp, because I did not enjoy boot camp.
No.
Something you never want to do again. It's not a fun experience.
We want our dogs to have fun
A good time.
while they're learning
Yeah.
and training, whether it's a board and train or a day and train. No boot camp for us. What about you, Wyatt?
I would say one of the better resources for a board and train over a day and train is for brand new dog owners. You do not know what you're doing, and for behavioral problems, because we want to give you a dog that already knows how to do all the things we want you to do with them. You've just got to maintain those skills. You're not going through the learning process. Because if you're a first-time dog owner, you're going to make mistakes, lots of them. And that's an inconsistency with your dog. It's not fair to your dog. We would much rather just teach you, and your dog already knows how to do it all, because humans are the hardest part of this whole thing anyways.
That's very true.
Absolutely.
Even dogs that try and eat you, humans are way harder.
Yeah, any good dog trainer knows that dog training is 50% the dog, 50% the human.
Yep.
So the reason I really like, and we've definitely transitioned to board and trains more than day and trains, is the dog's more successful and the human is more successful at the end, because we've taken the weakest link out of the equation, the human. Now, you might be thinking, but if the human is 50%, how can you take me out of it? We bring you in at the right time. We bring you in after, like you just said, Wyatt, the foundation's been built. We're not asking you to help us build a foundation. So day and train, a lot of trainers will do, they vary, I guess, a lot with this. Day and trains might come every day and go home every night.
Yeah.
That's an utter disaster.
Oh, God,
We did that with 2 dogs. I've had people ask, and I just say flat no. It's a disaster. It does not work. I guess there's an exception, but the reason it's a disaster that I found is there is, like Laura said, there's never a reset button with that dog. If the dog's there every day, Monday through Friday, doing a day in train and goes home each night, the dog's been working all day. He's tired. The owner is not going to do homework with the dog because the dog doesn't want to do homework. He wants to go home and sleep.
Yeah.
He's exhausted. So the dog never, ever had any type of reset button because the owner never got to reinforce any of the commands. And as far as the dog now knows, I go here during the day, I have a good time, I learn this stuff, but it only applies there. None of it applies at home. So literally, you completely missed your opportunity for the reset button.
And you could have the best owners in the world. They have not been trained by the dog trainer how to do anything. Your heart could be in it. You just don't know what to do because you have not been taught yet.
So when we do our day in trains, it's 1 day a week. Your dog will spend 1 day here. We build a foundation that we're going to focus on for that day. Then the owner has a lesson. We show them what homework to do, and then they do all the repetition work for the rest of the 6 days. The reason, like you just mentioned, Wyatt, that most owners that do day in trains and that I've found that people struggle is they're not trainers. That is hard. Your timing and your clarity and your consistency must be spot on. And it takes us months to train a trainer to be a trainer.
Yeah.
Not 6 days over a 6-week period. So not all repetitions are created equal. So you might be home doing your due diligence and doing your homework with your dog, and you're getting in 100 repetitions a day. But if 80 of them are really sloppy and poorly timed, you really trained your dog incredibly sloppy. Your dog thinks a sloppy sit is what you were asking
expectation,
for.
right?
Yeah, that because he's just doing what you asked. So that's why I personally don't like day and trains is I'm depending on a lot of help from the owner, and the owner gives me, they don't have the ability to give quality help.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a busy life, so then they miss a day or two. So now we've lost the consistency aspect of the day and train. I guess, I'm trying to think of the one or two people a month that do day and trains. Typically they're a very strong dog owner. They've had lots of dogs. They've got some experience. They want to be very involved with the process, and they have the chops or the ability to be pretty darn involved.
Because most people, we don't even bring up day and trains.
Right.
It's not even an option because it would be a horrible idea.
It would be it'd be a waste of money.
Time and money for everyone.
Our client would have wasted their money because they're going to get back a dog that at the end of the program, they're going to have a dog that's meh. Okay.
Yeah.
You could have got that from group classes.
Yeah. I would say the majority of clients we do day and trains have owned this breed their whole lives. They just got the hunting dog crackhead version of that breed, and they train dogs.
Help with a couple of specific areas.
Don't know how to deal with their ADHD child, and they're really good with regular children.
Yeah.
They just need an extra little bit of help.
Or the owners who are very good with obedience and things like that, but some like a specific behavioral problem.
Yeah.
Or they have their dog at a certain point and they don't know how to get beyond it.
Yeah, they hit a wall.
Mm-hmm.
They hit a wall. Yeah, they got the dog sits, the dog does everything. It's just not off leash, or it's not the healing is whatever. So those are the awesome people for the day and trains. I love people that have
they're
got
very
their
specific.
dog.
It's 2 or 3 things.
And they're in it to win.
And then
it.
we firm up all the other foundational stuff, obviously.
But they're gonna do the homework because their dog is
pretty darn good already. Yeah.
I think out of all the day and trains that I did, the Maggie was the best one. She was a sister of one of the dogs that you trained.
Maggie. Yeah.
And I don't remember the name.
So that means the owner already came with a good depth of
Yes.
Yep. Like every time she came in every week, I was just so excited to have her back.
Yeah. That's why most trainers and us particularly, why you look at that dog and go, gosh, if that dog had been a board.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
You look at the opportunity lost with that dog. That's how I look at a day and train. It's like when he's done, he's good, but I just look at him and go, God, if he'd been a board and train, we could have got where we were going with. So that is ultimately the biggest difference. Speed. Board and train gets you where you want to go faster and gives you more dependability and more structure and more foundation
and good quality.
A stronger foundation in the quality.
Yeah.
Better quality dog. Just an overall better quality dog. Now, how do we bring the owner back in since they weren't so involved? So most trainers, their board and trains 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks long. And then you have one marathon lesson at the end, a 2-3 hour pickup lesson, and then that's it. That's a lot. For one, that's a 2-hour, 3-hour lesson. You're having your dog do a lot of work too.
That's really hard for the dog.
That's hard for the dog. That's obviously a dog cannot work for 3 straight hours. So you're doing some talking in there while your dog's napping, like the dog here in the office at the moment. And he's a Malinois. She's a Malinois. But what we do is we just do our board and trains Monday through Friday and send the dog home on the weekends, stress relief, time off, and give the owners some homework to do to begin that reset process. So the dog goes, oh, I got to do all this stuff at home too. And then next Monday, when they come back, they fill out their homework sheet. We can see what the areas they were struggling with. We can really make sure we start focusing on those struggles and then build up the new foundation, the new skills that we're working on that next week. So that way, each week they pick them up. They have a 45-minute-hour lesson instead of 1, 2, 3 hour marathon lesson at the end.
And I found the longer the lesson, the more the owners
Shuts
are
down.
retaining. So that we're just giving them little bites every Friday of what basics they need to work on. We're not, half an hour is about as much as most people can retain. Because you're talking with also working their dog too. Right. So if you have an hour with an owner, we have if you have a double dog, a household, and they have an hour lesson, by the second dog, those owners are pretty much done,
Yeah,
and
they're
they're like, let's
kinda
sit,
done
let's
with the
place,
lesson.
we'll go.
Yeah, they you want to be done too after an hour.
Yeah.
You're like,
Well,
okay.
it's Friday night too.
Yeah.
You're done.
But a lot of trainers do their lessons on
Well,
Saturdays.
Yeah.
and I think also what I love about our model is that whenever we're done with our lesson Friday, at some point in time, the owners are going to think about the lesson throughout the weekend.
Yes.
Right.
And so then when they drop their dogs back off on Monday, they actually have a specific set of questions that they might have forgotten to ask during
Yeah.
the lesson. So then we can answer it, or we can address it in our pup dates, or, whatever.
Yeah.
But at least anything that is confusing to them or that is interesting to them to
Yeah.
understand more, they'll be able to ask. Whereas, like you said, if we did a normal board and train where we did it for 4 weeks and then just one big lesson at the end, most people, I feel, in my opinion, are very nervous about reaching out back to a
Yeah.
training
Sure.
facility.
Yeah.
They feel weird about saying, hey, I know it's been like 2 weeks, but there's this thing that you said and I just don't know. Like, most people won't do that.
Yeah, they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because they don't remember.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point, Julia. People will think of things along the training process
Mhm.
where if it's a 3 or a 4 week one-shot deal, dog does not go home board and train. They never had an opportunity to ask that question
Right.
because it never occurred to them because they never got to work with their dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, my biggest fear is during the evaluation process, they'll tell you they want to work on, like we just had a resource guarding. And say you tell the person evaluating you, yeah, your dog resource guards, it's specific toy. And you bring that toy to training, but if that person you did the eval with forgets to tell that trainer
Yeah.
and your dog's there for a month, they're not going to train that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you're going to pick your dog up, be like, hey, what about this resource guard? And the trainer's going to go, oh, I wasn't told. So these
Yeah, there's
these Friday
things can
ones,
slip through the cracks.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's a good way to keep up with, and it could be an honest mistake,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
or your dog's doing amazing and we've fixed all the problems. What's the next thing you want to work on?
Right.
Yeah.
The homework side of it's also very important for feedback. Say your dog, is resource guarding, but as soon as it gets dropped off, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And we realize quickly, oh, it's resource guarding mom or dad
Exactly.
or
That's
the
what I
house.
was going to say.
Not here. We need that feedback, so maybe we can try and recreate that here,
Mhm.
or even if we can't, we can make the leave it the best thing
Leave
we
it ever,
train that
yeah.
dog.
I
We can
think also
specialize the training based on
That's
feedback.
that's the beautiful thing about the lessons is you'll see some of our trainers. If you ever pay attention to when a dog is truly showing a resource guarding of the parents,
Yeah.
and suddenly the trainer's like, I never knew this dog was going to be like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I think that's just great because then they can actually see it firsthand. And
Yeah.
so
Instead
going
of at
along to
end,
the
after
3 to 4
training's
week,
done.
it
Yeah.
gives us time to figure it out and have stepping stones along the way with our Friday lessons
Right.
instead
And
of,
adjust the training
yeah. And because
before
that
it
would
was
suck.
done. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
It's like,
Bye.
oh,
Have a
whoops.
nice
Like,
life.
oops,
Bye.
Yeah, that is true because when the owners come, some quite often
Yes.
we'll see, wow, your dog does an odd behavior right now.
Mhm.
What happened? Whatever it is, and
It's like,
if
well,
it's for 3 weeks,
oh, well.
it's
Yeah.
done.
Have a nice life.
So
Bye.
now we have an opportunity to adjust our plan with that dog
Yeah.
and that family and make little tweaks along the way.
And
Like
my-
we've had some dogs, the owner says it barks. This one dog I remember barked all the time. Here, the dog never barked a peep till the owners came. Then the dog lost his brains. So then we know to work on how to recreate that here because they tried, but now they know how to do it. So we got the dog not to bark for the little beagle who loves to bark.
Yes, as
How-
most beagles
Yes.
do.
That's also cool how if we will adjust. So if the problem is purely based off of the owner or let's say another dog in the household,
Mhm.
we will adjust it to where we'll bring all of those things to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think many board and train facilities do that. Like
No.
where they will have I don't know, the daughter of whomever come in or like the other household pet to come
Right,
in.
bring the other
Yeah.
house.
So that we can actually attempt to recreate it here
Yeah.
and deal with it like it should
Right.
be dealt with.
Yeah, I would say we are incredibly flexible, and some trainers are rigid. No, these are the 8 things I'm going to teach your dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, core foundation and obedience
Yeah.
is important because that teaches so many other skills that we segue off or chain together. But
But if you're training, great example is a service dog. that got in a dog fight with a stray dog and now it's dog reactive. It's still incredibly well trained service dog.
Yes.
We just need to work on the dog reactivity.
Yeah, we need to get over that
re-socialize
hump.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need to do all the obedience stuff as much. You just need to focus on the dog socialization.
Right.
It's also a big part of our board and trains is, I know a 3-week we do add in a lesson at their house.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
is also different. It's also why we do the lesson at the end of it. So when you do go to that person's house, the dog's not trying to eat you or so excited or afraid of
Yeah.
you.
The dog recognizes, hey, it's work time.
And
And you just get right down to work and you have a full lesson of work instead of half the lesson trying to get the dog to either quit jumping and playing with you or quit trying to guard you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Whatever the problem happens.
that could also help with the human guarding or the very specific stuff at house.
Right.
We are very flexible because we train dogs like that all the time that have very specific needs. And
Yeah.
that's how we help them.
And then our group class after, we do group after day and train or
Everybody gets
board and
group
train.
class. Yeah.
We always include 2 months of weekly group class. And that really is, to me, the icing on the cupcake. It's what finishes the program. It's what really is the intent of our group class is for the owner, not the dog.
Yeah.
Like I tell everyone, your dog already knows how basically to do everything we're going to do at group. We just need to teach you two how to do it together in an intentionally distracting environment and give you a safe place to have a mistake and teach you how to be a leader for your dog.
Yeah.
So that is really the transfer of leadership, the final finale.
And it makes group
Final
class
piece.
fun. Because, Ray, if you just go straight into group class with no training, group class is frustrating
Yes.
or it's boring, and it is not a fun
The dog
experience
don't
either
have
way.
the
But
skill set.
neither of you do.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there
you're right.
struggling.
It's like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do and you don't know what to do, but you're trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, that's why
Traditional
our group classes are huge and they're at parks because we can. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're not chaos.
So what is what's an average day in the life of a dog and board and train look like? Here.
Here,
Yeah.
We get the doggy out, we potty the doggy, we work them, whatever they're working on that day. They may go on a field trip, they may go on a pack walk. And then once their session's up, you go get your next dog. So most trainers here have 3 dogs and they just cycle through them. Sometimes
So-
you're doing a 10-minute working session. Sometimes you're doing 45 minutes. It depends on what you're working at.
And it depends on the energy of the dog. You're reading the dog.
That's true.
Yeah. Sometimes a 20 or 30-minute training session is way too long for
Yep, some
a
dogs.
dog because it might be a session that's very stressful
Yes.
for the dog.
And we also have to realize dogs come here like Americans. Some of them are overweight. Most of them are not worked at all. They're backyard
Yeah.
doing.
At first I was like
walk-
Americans?
Working all
They
day.
walk around the block one time to pee and poop, and that's it. So the first week, sometimes these dogs, like when we start the gym, we gotta go slow because they're not used to doing all the stuff. They're not used to
most dogs
walking
sleep
down.
all night long.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, I think, their biggest fear of board and training, my dog's going to cry in his kennel all night. No, your
Ew.
dog is sleeping.
Done.
He's mentally exhausted.
Yes.
Because he's been learning all day. And like you just mentioned, most dogs are genuinely more active during our training than
Yes.
they are any
Ever.
other time.
Yeah.
That's why our dogs bond with us so fast.
Yes.
Because we do so much stuff with that dog. They're like, wow, you are like the funnest human I've ever met.
Yes.
And the bond happens so quickly.
We are what the dog is wishing their humans were.
Right. But the
And we
humans
can-
gotta go to work.
They gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Yep. And some people don't know how to be with their dogs. Some people think, I don't know what people think, but some people don't understand that they like to work, they like to do stuff for us, and they like to play interactive play.
Right.
Some people think, oh, the dog just wants to play fetch, and some dogs do want to play fetch forever, or just go in the backyard with their doggy friend. Dogs are bred to bond with humans. They bond with other dogs too, but the more interactive we can have with them, the
They
better.
literally are part of the family.
Yeah.
well, on the flip side, though, there are a lot of rescues that don't know how to dog.
Yes, that's true. A lot
Yeah,
of
just,
dogs are
you
not-
might not know how to deal with your dog, but you could be the best dog owner ever,
Yeah.
and you get a hoarding dog that has never been interacted,
Yes.
really
so sad.
interacted with
Yeah.
another human,
Those are the saddest dogs.
and they just don't know how to do
They
anything.
don't know how to be a dog.
They don't know how to
The
dog.
does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get a working dog or an Aussie and they don't even know how to run after a ball or they don't know how to herd.
Or they
It's
don't know what
so
the sound
sad.
of a treat bag opening
That's the
is.
saddest
That's
one.
the
Golden
sad
doesn't
one.
go
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You have a dog that doesn't know what the sound of opening a treat bag
Yeah.
is.
It's sad.
Yeah. And they're obviously those are typically rescue dogs.
Mhm.
Yep.
But, and the good news is they've been rescued and now they're going to have a good life.
Yes.
Board and train, pretty much dogs busy all day
Yeah.
long. Now, a big difference from trainer to trainer with board and trains, most trainers send out an update like on the weekends. Hey,
yeah.
typically it's a text or an email, a couple sentences, worked on this, dog's doing good, maybe a video and maybe a picture or two. We definitely over communicate. We send that out every single day. And the reason we do that is because I have found that board and train is harder on the human than the dog. The human is worried about their dog. They miss their dog. Dog's busy. Dog's having a good time.
Yeah.
So that daily update that we send out to our clients lets them see their dog in video working on what the focus of the day was. Their trainer is explaining that to the owner. So it's like a mini lesson. So
Yeah.
they're getting a mini lesson every day that they can now refer back to in case they're struggling with that subject later.
Mhm.
And when you're watching the video, you can actually see, hey, my dog looks like he's having a great time.
Yeah, you can't fake a
Yeah, you
mini
can't fake a
video.
video.
It
You
does
can't
not
Where a
work.
picture, you take 60 pictures, you're going to
Yeah.
find one in there that dog looks happy, even if the dog is not.
That's
Where
true.
The
you can't make
videos
that with the video.
also really good for, hey, I know your dog tries to eat people around you all the time. It's not, we're at Home Depot and your dog's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I have proof I'm trying to work on this problem.
Yeah.
Right.
It's your dog's, we can't recreate it, but we are trying.
So, and then obviously from a trainer's perspective, now we know that's more resource guarding mom and dad, probably,
Yes.
or environmental at their home or something.
I also think it shows that the owner, I can do this. They're doing it. I know
Yes.
they're trainers, but I
Yeah.
also can do this. I think a lot of owners, when they have bad experiences, I can't take my dog around another dog, or I can't do this. And we show them, yes, you can. We will give you the confidence to do it. Your dog can do it. I think that helps a
Because now they
lot.
see their dog
Yep.
doing it.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I can do it, my dog.
It's also why
So they
group
can go
class
do
is
that.
so important because us dogs, they smell your pheromones. You cannot
Yes.
fake it.
Yeah.
Group class is probably the safest place for humans to make mistakes because everyone in our group has done training.
Yes.
So no one cares your dog has a meltdown, so you can rewire your brain
Yeah,
to
there's no
trust your
judgment.
dog
Right.
again,
Right.
Would
not
you-
be embarrassed and
With
afraid.
the way that I was thinking about it in my mind, would you agree that like day and train is more instructional? You're sort of instructing whatever you've
Yes.
shown, whereas board and train is more coaching. You're literally
I
like
like that.
I like
coaching
that.
people
Huh?
I've
through.
never looked at it that way.
I
But I
do
would
like
say
Yeah.
that a lot.
Great analogy.
Yay, Julie.
Coach Mark and Julie. Yeah, day and train is very instructional
Yeah.
Mhm.
because we're just giving them instructions on how to train their dog. We're barely most dog trainers are barely an assistant
Mhm.
in that because we don't have them long enough to do all the thousands
Right.
of repetitions the dog needs to do to truly understand it.
Yeah.
And on that analogy, group class, that is more like the mentorship side of it.
See, yes.
Go do. I'll
Yep.
be here and show
Yep.
you. Come back and tell me how your week went.
Yep.
Oh, it
Yeah.
did good. It did bad. Let's
Yeah,
make a plan
yeah.
and fix it. Go do
Let's
it
talk
again.
about the successes of the week and the
Yeah.
setbacks of the week, and we'll coach you through it.
That's the other beauty of our group classes. We do Q&As at the end. So if you are having problems or your dog's a teenager and some random bad behavior pops up, we can help you. It's
Yeah.
it's the most frustrating part is when someone does not go to group class and they do not communicate, and then 6 months later they're upset because their dog's
Doing whatever.
doing
Mhm.
whatever.
Right.
And it's like if you would have talked to me the entire time,
We could have pushed through this. In a
yeah,
matter
I
of
would have
weeks.
helped you. We
Right.
want
Yeah,
to help
yeah,
you. Just
for sure.
you got to let us help you.
And the nice thing about group, the way we do that is ask questions at the end of people's
Yeah.
successes. And success, we mean, hey, what did you do with your dog this week, the past week that you always wish you had and had never been able to?
Yeah.
And then obviously a challenge or a
Yep.
setback. The challenge or setbacks are helpful because somebody else in that group probably had that same
Yep.
challenge or
Right.
setback. They just didn't
Yep.
ask about it. So
Mhm.
everybody gets to benefit from the coaching that we're giving them. That's a great analogy. Day and trains are instructional.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Board and trains are coaching because we've done the work. We've laid the foundation. Now we're just going to coach you on how to maintain and then improve upon that foundation we set. Great. Any other final parting thoughts on board and trains or day and trains or board and train versus day and train?
Andrew?
I had one on group class, but
No, we'll do group class.
we'll do group
on
class
another one.
later.
When I'm meeting with a client and they ask about the difference, I usually will say, do you want to be a dog trainer? And most people
yeah.
say no. And I said, then you do not want to be a day and train
Yeah.
because we're asking you to become a dog trainer and we're going to ask you to do it in 6 or 8 days. And it takes us about 5 months to train a dog trainer to become a dog trainer.
And if you don't do your end, it's not, you're in control of value.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other frustrating part is us as trainers, we know.
We know
About
when you
day
don't
2, definitely day 3. Oh, I'm doing day 1 again for the
Yes.
3rd week in a row. And then the trainers aren't motivated at all.
Right.
Yeah. They're like, these
Why,
owners-
the owners don't even care about their dog. Why
Right.
should I
It
care
is.
about
It's
the
hard
dog?
to be motivated when you
It's
know
very
the owner's not
frustrating.
doing any homework because you're spinning your wheels. And then I feel so bad for the dog. I'm like, oh, you have too big of a burden on your shoulders, dude, because you can't train yourself. If
No.
you could have, you would have already done it, and you're not here enough for us to help.
Are we gonna do an episode to talk specifically about like 2-week, 3-week, 4-week?
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of things to say even
Oh,
about that.
that'd be good.
I think we should.
Broaden this up.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
We're also doing one on group classes
Yep.
versus private lessons.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no,
Yep.
that's a great one.
Palace.
Yeah, good. Hope the differences, our conversation on the differences between board and trains and day and trains was helpful for you if you were listening. And next week's episode is teamwork without the team is just work. Continuation of types of dog trainings. We'll be talking about group classes.
Okay.
So that's where the team comes in. And if our discussion in talk today connected with you, we want to invite you to connect with us on our website or through social media. We have TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. So feel free to reach out, follow us for more dog training tips. And if you are needing help with a behavioral or emotional or just an obedience issue that you're having with your dog, we'd love to help you. Contact us through our website or give us a call. We can discuss any issues you're having and how we can help you and your pup along with their training journey. So again, next week, teamwork without the team is just work. We'll be discussing in great detail group classes. When's the right time for a group class for you and your dog? What the challenges of group class, what the advantages are. So that way you can make a good educated decision on the best training program for you and your pup and your goals. Until then, Go
Have fun with your dog.